Welcome to South Georgia. It's the pinnacle of wildlife experiences on the planet. It's just a mere speck in the Southern Ocean, but what it lacks in size, it more than makes up for in the rich history and the mind-boggling numbers of penguins and fur seals. At the height of the breeding season, this place has the greatest density of wildlife on Earth. After a few days aboard the ultra-luxurious Scenic Eclipse, exploring the wonder of the White Continent, we've reached the wildlife mecca that is South Georgia.
Good morning, Tina, and welcome to Salisbury Plain. Here we've got one of the largest king penguin colonies on South Georgia, as well as lots of fur seals, a couple elephant seals, and right ahead of us, we've got the largest concentration I've ever seen of Wilson's storm petrels.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
When we get in, they are very curious. When we get in, you guys are going to have to be really quick in getting out.
Slide on forward. Thank you. Amazing. Hello.
Salisbury Plain is on the north coast of South Georgia.
There are regulations around how close you can get to the wildlife on the island, which is about 5 metres. But when you're in a situation like this, when someone like this comes towards you, everything's on the animal's terms. So hold your ground or back away. So when I stepped in here, it just sounds like this cacophony of noise, but how does anyone know who anyone else is?
The cacophony is just as impressive as you can witness it. And it's basically, imagine yourself walking into a stadium full of people wearing tuxedos, and you don't know who's who. So the vocalizations carry a very distinctive pitch and sound that we can barely detect. They will tell males and females who is who calling each other.
They're being followed.
There's some company.
Come on.
The mass explosion of wildlife is a surreal sight. So too, the dramatic surroundings.
What is it about Salisbury Plains that they find so attractive?
They really don't hold like a particular territory. They really want to be well spread, protected, and some of the things important in the colony is to be close to the source of food as well.
It's so reassuring to know that there's like a wilderness area where there's all this breeding going on, and it seems like it's untouched.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty unique, very spectacular.
Honestly, when we left on the trip, I wasn't totally sure what to expect, and it's just blown me away. It's so beautiful. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and that's really one reason why we chose this itinerary, is because we knew it stopped at South Georgia, and we had known that there was a lot of wildlife in South Georgia, but this is still far exceeding what we imagined.
Me too. Yeah.
Almost as incredible as the scenery is our accommodation aboard Scenic Eclipse. It's hard to believe we can be in one of the most remote places on the planet and have all the luxury trimmings at our fingertips.
I don't see any other ship looking like this. It's from outside it's beautiful. From inside is ultra luxury with all this fancy stuff, with the culinary experience we offer.
Scenic's open bridge policy gives guests the chance to fully immerse themselves in the experience.
Guests can come here, they can enjoy they can listen what we are talking about, so they feel like a part of this experience of expedition. And we are the world's first discovery, yeah.
Waking up aboard Scenic Eclipse here in South Georgia is a wonderfully surreal experience, greeted each day by breathtaking vistas. Today's port of call is Fortuna Bay.
These fur seal pups are probably around 3 months old at the moment, so they were born at the start of this season, and they're just getting to the point where they're starting to explore their surroundings. They're starting to be a bit more inquisitive and assertive, and we're sometimes seeing them swimming in the water as well, so they're really exploring their environment now.
Fortuna Bay sits on South Georgia's northeast coast and takes its name from the first whaling ship to operate in the area. Fortunately, these days, as well as whales and the surrounding waters, it's home to flourishing seal and penguin colonies.
These penguins, they are handsome.
They're very handsome, and they know it from their behavior. Their call, their vocalization, they've got their heads up, they've got their flippers out. And you really observe every part of the penguin life cycle here. Because the ocean doesn't freeze the whole winter round, the king penguins can come and go.
So they're permanent residents.
They're permanent residents.
No reason to go anywhere. And why would you?
Why would you? No, it's beautiful out here. And out there, the ocean is incredibly rich. We're inside the Antarctic convergence now. So biologically speaking, we're inside and within Antarctic waters. And those are some of the very richest feeding grounds in the world. So it's a very good place to be if you're a penguin.
It's a photographer's paradise. I can't stop taking photos. But actually, you know what I'd like to do is just sit here all day, listen to them, watch them, their antics. They're hilarious. Gorgeous little chicks in there in the huddle.
These days, the wildlife on South Georgia is fiercely protected and lives happily without any major land predators. But it's a far cry from the whaling days of former times, when places like the hauntingly beautiful Grytviken were a killing yard for these magnificent beasts.
The whaling station is a chilling reminder of the heyday of whaling, when up to 25 whales a day were being slaughtered. But today it's a very different story. This whole area is marine protected. Yes, you. And it's a testimony to what nature can do when it's left alone. Given the size of those huge vats, there must have been a lot of whaling going on and a lot of whales.
Absolutely. So this place was set up in 1904, and it's said that across the bay out here, you could actually walk across the backs of the whales. They were so numerous when it first started.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a harsh and heartbreaking history, and it can be explored in detail at the South Georgia Museum, located in the home of a former whaling station manager.
So the last whaling was really in the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah.
And they stopped, why?
Because there just wasn't the whales anymore. We'd decimated the population, and it took us a while to realise that we couldn't plunder nature quite so extensively and expect it to cope.
While the relics remind us of those darker days, they now provide a playground for the thriving wildlife.
It's just so incredible to see the way nature can recover. Even the first seal numbers, because there were sealers as well, wasn't there?
There was. So sealers were sort of the century before the whaling took off, so through the 1800s. And first seals were down to 30 or 40 pairs, something really low on the islands here, and obviously not commercially viable anymore. But now we're in the millions.
But for history lovers, Grytviken is perhaps best known as the final resting place of one of the greatest polar explorers, Sir Ernest Shackleton.
So if your glasses are charged, I'll do the really cool quote, which I love every time, and that is, "For scientific discovery, give me Scott. For speed and efficiency of travel, give me Amundsen. that when disaster strikes and all hope is gone, get down on your knees and pray for Shackleton. So, to the boss.
To the boss.
Join Scenic Eclipse on an ultra-luxury expedition voyage. Experience a journey of a lifetime with all meals, beverages and discovery excursions included. Secure your 2024 or 2025 voyage to discover Antarctica, South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. Save up to $4,500 per person, plus receive a suite upgrade on select itineraries. Getaway viewers can save an additional $300 per person. To request your voucher, visit scenic.com.au/getaway. Call 1300 790 372 or speak to your nearest travel advisor. Welcome back to the sublime scenery of South Georgia and our 3-week cruise aboard Scenic Eclipse from the Antarctic Peninsula through the wildlife mecca of South Georgia and on to the Falkland Islands. For wildlife lovers like me, South Georgia is akin to paradise. And each day of the journey we cruise by Zodiac or head ashore to meet some of these delightful locals.
Behind me is a fur seal creche or kindergarten, and this is where all these young ones gather together, familiarise themselves with the water. They're all about the same age, they're about 3 months old. The dads are gone, but their mums are out at sea fishing, and when they come back, the babies get a chance to feed.
Despite being one of South Georgia's smaller landing sites, Jason Harbour was once an important communications centre and a refuge for weary travellers.
Why was this hut built?
So it was built in 1909 and it was all about communications between the stations. So Myvican is just across the bay there, so you'd row stuff over, post mail, equipment, drop it in the hut here, and then it's a short hike over to the station at Leith and Stromness. They'd come and pick it up.
And if someone was, caught in trouble here, could they still stay in this place?
Absolutely, yeah. So all of these huts have got some basic emergency equipment, and if you needed, they'd be a good shelter.
Depending on the conditions, on Scenic Eclipse there's many options for how to best experience these sites. From Zodiac cruises to kayak and paddleboard tours, a trip ashore, or even a submarine experience. Whatever you choose, you'll always have an expert guide from the Discovery team leading the way.
Oh, so all of those are macaroni penguins?
All of those are macaroni penguins. It's all around the Southern Ocean. The body of water is around Antarctica. The total population of macaronis is about 6.5 million, and that includes about 2.5 million in South Georgia alone. So is that one of the greatest number of all the penguin population? As I understand, the macaroni penguin might be the most numerous penguin species in the world.
Where there are penguins, you will also find their most feared predators.
Wow, look, leopard seal.
Yeah, so this is very, very special. I've done 30 Antarctic voyages, and this is only the second time that I see more than one leopard seal hauled out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just coincidence?
It's just a coincidence. I would say it has something to do with conditions now. There's a lot of swell. The swell is going over the rocks. So all 3 of them have found a place where the swell isn't going so much over.
Wow.
They know of each other, but they just politely ignore each other. It's easy. There's enough food for everyone. There's no food competition. So this is just where they're going to be until they get hungry again.
Ooh, is that one right here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, right here. Wow, it's really checking us out.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
So every now and then they do come close to the boats just to inspect them.
Oh, it's so streamlined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That allows them to go very quickly, travel very quickly through the water.
Wow. How long could he stay underwater?
It depends on what he's going for. If he's going for squid, looking at maybe 10 minutes, probably more.
There's many luxury trimmings that come with travelling on a 6-star Discovery yacht, including the fabulous culinary offerings.
We're completely spoilt for choice for dining on board, from fine dining to casual fare. But tonight, I'm going to try something different.
Night Market offers an Asian fusion-style menu, and it's fabulously intimate with a maximum of just 8 guests per sitting.
Food's been fabulous. What I've liked about it most is that this is the first yacht that I've been on that has multiple restaurants, each having their own little angle and what they produce.
So you haven't had the same meal twice?
No, I don't think. Well, there's a couple of my favourites though.
Cruising the Antarctic Peninsula aboard Scenic Eclipse truly is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Although once you're here, I guarantee you'll be trying to find a way to return. As well as Antarctica and South Georgia, this 3-week cruise allows a few days learning about the fascinating history of the Falkland Islands.
Hardly anyone had heard of the Falkland Islands until they came under the spotlight during the war in the 1980s. There are still remnants of the war scattered around the islands, but the place is thriving. Although here humans still seem to be the rare species, outnumbered by the penguins and the sheep by about 1,000 to 1.
Around 3,500 people live in the Falklands, the vast majority of them here in Stanley. Like Donald, a born and bred local who considers this place paradise.
It seems very pristine, like life here seems...
It is.
Do you enjoy it?
I do. I love it here.
Yeah?
Spent all my life here.
Like many locals, Donald lived through those dark days of war, when the British and Argentine troops battled to claim these remote and beautiful islands.
Were there many killed during the war?
There was 255 British troops and approximately 600 Argentine troops, and 3 local residents lost their life. One night in a shell hit a house in a residential area.
There are still many tributes to honour those that lost their lives.
It's a memorial to HMS Glamorgan. She was a British warship hit by an Argentine Exocet missile fired from this location. And the ship itself survived, but the missile hit the stern and of the ship.
And did it sort of change after the war? Did life here change in any way?
It did. Several years later, they declared a fishing zone around the islands, and the islands become self-sufficient in the late 80s.
The Falklands is made up of hundreds of islands, all of them remote and many inaccessible. Saunders is the second largest offshore island and operates as a working sheep farm, thanks to David and his family, the only permanent residents.
And you manage it, or you own?
Manage and own.
The whole island?
Yep.
Wow.
30,000 acres, 12,500 hectares, or 41 square miles.
Oh, and how many sheep?
6,500.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the last count.
Last count. And how many generations?
3rd on my father's side and about 8 on my mother's side.
8 generations?
So I feel that I'm a Falkland Islander.
I would say so. If anyone's earned that right, I'd say with that many generations you have.
Yeah.
It's a spectacular looking island, both from the land and from the air.
Ooh. Wow.
As well as all the mod cons you might expect from a 6-star Discovery yacht, Scenic Eclipse also has a few you might not expect, like 2 Airbus helicopters.
This is all one island here. This is all Saunders Island that you're seeing. So it's basically
wraps around.
Yeah, this is called Brett Harbour.
This must just give such a different perspective for the guests.
Exactly. I mean, if you're just on the ship, when you're just on the Zodiacs, you're just staying at sea level. And there are 776 smaller islands here in the Falklands. You can't really get a feeling for that when you're down at sea level all the time. You want to get up to the altitude, just be able to see, the size of it, the scale of it.
It is literally breathtaking. Join Scenic Eclipse on an ultra-luxury expedition voyage. Experience a journey of a lifetime with all meals, beverages and discovery excursions included. Secure your 2024 or 2025 voyage to discover Antarctica, South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. Save up to $4,500 per person, plus receive a suite upgrade on select itineraries. Getaway viewers can save an additional $300 per person. To request your voucher, visit scenic.com.au/getaway. Call 1300 790 372 or speak to your nearest travel advisor.
Ain't nobody loves me better, makes me happy.
What I've loved about this experience is the sheer extremes. Extremes of weather, extremes of wildlife on a scale I just couldn't have imagined. And of course, the dramatic landscape. It's been a true voyage of discovery for me, and it's exceeded all my expectations. For a nature lover, coming here is the absolute pinnacle of wildlife watching on the planet.
Loves me better than you. Loves me better